All right, welcome back. We are at the third round, I think it's the third round, of the MicroCraft conversion. And the Java code is all converted, as near as I can tell. And I will show you where we are at today. I added some debug lines in here because it takes about 7 seconds to generate a single level. It's going to need some work. I'm either going to need to only load levels, like the level you're on, as you enter that level, or do something where we generate all the levels and then save them to disk and reload them next time you run the game, or maybe some version of combination of both. And another thing is that the level constructor was running a loop 5,000 times to spawn entities, which was taking way too long. So I reduced that down to 50, and we'll see what the consequences of that are. But if each level is also spawning entities on a timer, then it should be just fine. You'll just see them gradually appear in the game instead of popping in there all at once. Okay, so it's writing out the word render every time it hits the render portion of the event loop. I was just debug code to make sure it's working. It's rendering the title screen, and there's two problems. One of them is it's upside down. This black rectangle here is where the title is supposed to appear. The other problem is that it's blank. I changed the background color to this like purplish color just so that something would show up, but it's not actually rendering any of the tiles like it should. It's slow, but it should be rendering something. So what we are going to do today is try to debug the renderer, the thing that is copying pixel data out of our PNG file and trying to stick that up on the screen. So we're going to handle this similar to how we handled the level generator, and try to isolate a bit of code and create something that will just handle that. We don't need it spitting out the render text each time, because we know the render loop's being hit now. It wasn't being hit before because the game loop is running so slow right now that the unprocessed ticks were stacking up like insane. So I modified it to only try to tick once per frame. And hopefully we'll be able to get the performance up enough that we can turn this bit back on later on. So how are we going to do this? I don't think we even need... No. I think we're going to make a copy of this main file to create a test bed just for rendering from the sprite sheet. Sprite test. Copy all that, and then we can gut it to our heart's content. Our goal today is to see if we can get it to render the title menu. Only rendering. I don't care about ticking right now. I'm pretty sure the ticking will work. So take out all the bits we don't need. They're just going to confuse us. They're going to confuse me. I want to isolate just this one feature that I'm trying to test. We have to keep our massive collection of imports. Everything's due to get cleaned up later. We do not need to build the game, although we'll need bits of it. I don't think we'll need any of this. Okay, so let's look at how to construct a title menu. The make function doesn't really need much. So we make the title menu. And it wants a screen to render to, so let's make a screen. That's in the GFX folder. Screen, make, is that width, height, and a sprite sheet. So let's make a screen. The game class knows the width and height. .120 by 160. It's weird, usually a screen is wider than it is tall. I wonder if I copied that right. Height is 120, width is 160. Well, that's a problem. No? Height, width. Oh, no, it is wider than it is tall. I only copied it wrong when I did that. All right, so we have the width and the height. Now we need a sheet, sprite sheet. Sprite sheet. So we feed it an image. And where do we get the image? From right there. Well, there's one thing. We don't need to be loading that twice. I am going to go ahead and do that. Loading an image takes some time, and I need to shave off all the time I can get away with. Okay. So we got the image, width, height, sprite sheet, got a screen, we have our title menu. Let's see how those menus are instantiated. I believe there's a set menu, which is just that. Feed it the game and self.input. Wonder if we really need that for this test though. Because we're not testing the tick. The base class in it just saves the input and the game reference. Do we need that game reference for rendering? I don't think we do. So we should be able to do title menu, render, throw in the screen, and then we just need to figure out how to throw the screen onto the screen. And that code is in here, near the bottom. And now we need that colors array, which is also defined in the game class. And I think that we were going to solve that. I'm going to refactor this a little bit to make sense. So the colors array, the palette will be created in the constructor instead of the init function, which should be just fine. I'm going to create a colors array and then return it. I don't see any reason why that shouldn't work. The Java code did handle the palette by ORing the RGB values together, but in our case, it really makes sense just to create the HTML color from the list, because that's how we use the colors here. So let's create the colors. Colors equals game get colors. Yeah, let's do this. And I'm going to simplify one more thing. Go ahead and set this to make sure we only ever load that image once. We always refer to it as a static variable on the game object, the game class. It's the thing, miniscript, it's an object and an instance and a class definition. And so let's see what that does. Clear, reset, run sprite test. Oh, I don't want to generate levels. What's this thing doing? Ah, I didn't take out the constructor for the game. Pixels is unknown, line 153. Right. Because what it's doing is it's copying the screen pixels into a local pixels array. This pixels array is bound, in the Java code, is bound directly to an image object, which is not true in our case. And honestly, we don't really need it. It's just an extra copy that's not giving us anything. We're going to write that directly to the screen. It'll save us a little bit on performance. And then basically there's the palette needs to be 255 colors, the size of a byte. We're not defining all of those. We're defining a 6 times 6 times 6 colors. How many colors is that? 216 colors. And if the color does not exist, we're going to, in our case, make it red, just to make it really obvious that something's being rendered there. And we're not going to scale it for now, because that will be another performance hit that we can't afford yet, but we'll get there. All right, here we go. Okay, what'd I miss? I need to actually delete that line. Okay, so there's our title screen such as it is. And I need to know why it's black. So how do we want to start this? We're going to go into the title menu here. First, let's make sure we can draw that image to the screen. Draw image, image left bottom. So there's the image. So we know that we are getting a reference to that image. Then we need to test the sprite sheet. Next level down. Copying over the width and height of the image. And we're doing some funny math to basically, it's a grayscale image where each tile is 4 colors. I'll show you that picture again. What we're doing is we're grabbing each pixel, dividing it by 64 so that it forces it into the range of 0 to 3, but then we also need to floor it to make sure it's an integer. I'm not sure we need to AND it here. Let's try testing the value of a pixel, like top left here. At 0, 0, the value should be, it's like not 0 because 0 is black, 3 is white, 1 is dark gray. So let's try getting the value of that pixel. Actually, that should already be in memory. Did I lose it? So it's suspicious to me that the value at like the very first pixel is registering as a 0. One problem is that it's doing a bit AND between C and 255, but C is a list. Let's try grabbing the first index of that list. Should be the red value. Oh, that made a difference. It's not quite right though. It's drawing little squares. Not sure why. And it's still giving me a 0 for that first pixel. I wonder if I need to flip this value. Because in Mini Micro, the y-axis is flipped from what you would normally expect. Actually, I think I'll do it up here. Look at that. So, don't know if you can read upside down and backwards, but it does say MicroCraft. We need to flip that now. What you might be able to do set pixel. I think I can do it like this. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, now we're getting somewhere. So let's plug that back into our game. Where's the render function? Render. And that's going to go in place of all this stuff. So we've optimized the performance of a couple aspects. One is taking the pixels array out of the middle of the rendering steps, and we're only going to load the image once for the tile image. Over here, we need to make sure we're referring to the right screen. Now let's see if that gives us a different result. Oh, also change that to black. And in the title menu, change the background to black. I actually modified the screen class a little bit from the original definition, because it was iterating over the entire pixel array and setting each color to that one color, but it should have better performance to just like multiply it out like this, like rebuild the array. I think that's a cheaper operation. All right, let's see what happens. Oh, it's not called game, it's called main. All right, gotta reload all of our levels. Go grab yourself a cup of coffee while you wait for the game to load. Okay, so there's the initial screen. You can see a little box around it. Very faint, but it's there. And what is it expecting now? If the title menu is working correctly, this should be ticking. It should be waiting for the attack or menu clicked buttons. I'm concerned that it's not drawing this. Arrow keys, X, Y, X and C, and it's not displaying the selected message. So we're going to come back to that in just a second. Oh, we found an error. Line 154. Main. Huh. Is input null? Sure, it's taken a while to figure itself out. Oh, input is null. Because I was creating the input handler in the main file, but I moved that into the game object, so we need to be doing this. I suppose I could have just copied a reference to the input handler out of the game object, but, you know, this won't take too much longer. Okay. So one of my concerns, it's rendering this bit up here. It's not doing this. So there's some options that should be getting rendered to the screen. And then it needs to draw this little message at the bottom. It's like the font class is not working. So we're probably going to create another test program for the font. Title menu line 20, selected not defined. It registered the input button being pressed, so that's good. Gonna run that sprite test again. I wanted to know why the font isn't working. So here's our font. Why aren't you working? So, font is basically a static class. I was about to say singleton, but that's a slightly different concept. Needs a message, screen, X, Y, and color. Message, screen, X, Y, color. So why isn't that working? My guess is that it is not drawing the correct tile. So we're going to test that theory. For each character in that message, we are just going to print or draw out the very first tile in our tile set, which should be that little grass tile with the 3 dots. Ah, wrong program. And, well, add did something different. That's actually rather promising. I think it's calculating that index into the character array incorrectly. Let's look again at the font Java file. That's different. I don't know why these spaces are here. Let's recopy those lines. Okay, why am I getting an error? Oh, is it that? Hmm. In the Java file, the way it's doing this, you get the character out of the message, and then you find the index of that character in the character array. And then you add that offset to it, and that's what you draw. Iterating over the message, grab the character, find the index of that in the character array, all right, let's do this a little different. Let's make everything an A. It's still not printing anything, but print the character. I'm going to print the value of ix. There's the index into the chars array. And we're going to print the tile offset. Interesting. Is that offset index of returning something less than 0? Yes, it is. It's returning a null. That's working. So where's this going wrong? Oh, those are brackets. Index of is a function, it's not an array. That might be my entire problem right there. Okay. Restoring that original function, let's do another test. There it is. All right, cool, we're making progress. Now let's rerun our main program and see what we got. Loading, loading, loading. Almost there. Okay. Title menu line 52. Oh, I hate those errors. The simple thing I missed, but it means we have to rerun everything. It's like working with AWS infrastructure. It's like you deploy a Lambda function, find out there's an error, spend 5 minutes waiting for it to deploy, find out you misspelled something, fix the spelling error, redeploy everything, test it again. All right. I'm expecting the, oh, it moved down. It's just really slow. That's something. If I hold down, yeah, if I hold down the arrow key, it will just slowly work its way across. You have to hold it down, and then when it goes down, then you let go, do it again. Okay, let's try opening the About screen. Okay, there's the original MicroCraft dedication. Okay, press C again, get out of that. Let's look at how to play. Okay, there's the instructions. Kill that defenseless there wizard that was just up there minding his own business. Whoop, and it broke. Broke on instructions. Cool. Instructions menu, line 13, and yep. That should be self.game. I think. Yes, it should be. And that should be self.parent. And we haven't even started testing the actual game yet. Think we're going to have to do something to help the performance a little bit before we get into too much play testing. All right, so we're going to test the instruction screen. If that works, then we'll go to the play button, see what we got. Going down, how to play. Okay, get out of that. Go to start game. Going in. Oh, you hear that? It beeped. And it's retreading all the levels again. Ouch. We're going to work on that. Honestly, if it's generating them all there, we don't need the game doing it when you load the menu. Oh, look at that! Look at that, look at that. Holding down the up arrow, and you can see him just kind of crawling along there, but it's working. Let's try one of the keys. Whoop, broken on C. Player line 237. That is an entity. Player 237. Entities must be an empty array in that case. So didn't mean to do that. We're just going to modify that because we don't need the I value. We're not modifying the array. And iterating over the array means we don't actually need to check the length. And then, since starting the game initializes everything, which is weird. Let me see what's actually causing that. If we go to the main menu, title menu, screen, title menu, game.reset game, that's what's doing it. If we go to game here, we're calling the init function. We don't need reset game there, I don't think. Just in case. All right, from the top, game line 170, trouble looking up removed. Right, because what? Reset game is actually creating some of those things we need, like the player object. Let's see, where's reset game? We're going to solve this. Let's make sure we're initializing some of these variables. That we are creating the player. Can't look up W, game MS line 226. Well, that's off the current level. That's obnoxious. It really wants a level to look at with all that data. Let's try this another way. Instead of creating the player before we need to, we are going to this render GUI. The menus don't necessarily take up the entire screen. You still need to be able to draw what's behind it. I think we're just going to have to put up with the inefficiency for now. We need to re-enable the init function, the reset game function. All right, we'll come back to that. Loading, loading, loading. I'm going to be checking in the sprite test program, so you can run that yourself from the Git repo. But the actual game starts, you run the main file. Okay, start game. Regenerate the levels. I'm going to do us a small favor here. So if we're debugging, if debug is, basically if we're not debugging, or self.levels equals null, then we'll do all this. So if the debug flag is true, then we'll still generate levels the first time because the first one is null. Second time through, debug is true, levels is generated, we're not generating it again. If we turn off debug, then this will be false and this will get run every single time. So that should be good. And walk distance in the zombie class is undefined. Cool. Yeah, I did that wrong in a lot of places. It should always be self.walkDist. And I just modified the Java code. Stop it. Okay. It's Java. That's fine. Java, good. That's wrong, but it's also Java. Java, Java, Java. Okay. All right, I should fix that from the top. And ultimately, we're going to want to scale this up so that each tile is a reasonable size. And I want to adjust the number of tiles displayed to actually fill this entire screen. But first we need to get it running at a good performance with what we have here. There's several things that we can do like right off the bat that shouldn't be too hard. Oh, that text is covering my screen. Why is it generating the levels again? Fine, whatever. will do. Um, all right, so you can move the guy around. Cool. Getting the C key. And you can see the stamina meter went down a little bit. Woo! Stamina's unknown. Player 69. Okay. Also, I didn't hear anything when I hit the C key. I think it's supposed to make a sound. I don't know. I'll leave that bit for now. All right. Start game. Oh, that's going to drive me nuts. Hopefully we won't have to deal with it for too long. Problem is the level gen classes are... The level gen class, it's only one class, but it's a bit of a doozy. We'll need to profile this to see which bits are slowing us down, which will mean writing another test program. It'll be fun. All right, so here we are, inching our way across, hitting the C key. All right, so he's punching, hitting the X key. Line 202, index out of range. But we are getting so close. Doing this should solve our entity problem. Basically, this function right here, level.getEntities, is getting all of the entities in a rectangular region, and if there aren't any, then the iterator was failing because the length of the array was 0. But let me look at the... Go to level, get entities, 2x's, 2y's. The math is right, got the result. Iterating over that range, checking for entities in that tile. We're going to have to do some testing on this one because I'm not completely sure it's working. Entity intersects, let's take a quick look at that. don't know, it just looks wrong. X plus the XR is less than X0. It, it feels inverted from where it should be. But I don't know. It might be right. I copied it right. Yeah, we're gonna have to do another video like this, just working on that level generator. There has to be a way to speed that up. Line 315 and level... Oh, pfft. Well, that's just silly. One of the things that we're going to do pretty soon, probably not in this video, you can see that this screen class keeps a pixels array, and that pixels array is being copied one pixel at a time to the primary pixel display. What I want to do is just like make the screen inherit from pixel display. That should give us something, and it probably won't be that hard to do. Okay, test. Once we do that, we'll see. We'd be rendering directly to a pixel display, which would make some of this a little, should make it a little bit faster. Using tiles and sprites would be the fastest way to do it, but I'm taking this iteratively. All right, so we know the C. Now, why did that fail? Oh, because we're punching a tree. We hadn't tested that yet. Random line 19. Okay. And that should fix that. All right. So let's try breaking a tree. Oh, ZZ is unknown. Item entity, line 77. Where is ZZ? There it is. And yeah, that should be self.zz. Anything else here I need to know about? Be self.item. Where's time? That should be self.time. All right, we're going to run this one more time. We've about taken this as far as we can today. The videos, we're getting a little bit long here. And we're not going to be able to do everything today. But it's been pretty exciting seeing this slowly begin to come to life. Loading. So I don't know if next time we're going to focus on graphics performance or on the level generator. You're just going to have to be watching the channel to see what comes up next. I imagine you'll be as surprised as I am. All right, gonna walk up to that tree. Walk, 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 walk. All right, there we are. Now, that was impressive. It almost worked. Entity line 36. XR not found in map. Which is interesting. I wonder if there's a problem with the class hierarchy. Entity from level from mob, but we're not sure which entity we're talking about. XR is definitely defined, so the problem is probably not calling super.make on one of these things here, like the particles. Particle is an entity. It needs to call the super constructor, and it needs to return a reference to itself. All right, I'm gonna stop the video here. I'm tempted to keep going, but we've been going for over an hour. If you want to see how this works out, you're just gonna have to tune in next time. If you've made it this far, kudos to you. I am very impressed, and I hope you drop me a comment so that I can know that you stuck it out to the end. I'd be happy to chat with you about the project. And yeah, hit the like and subscribe buttons to follow the progress on this adventure. Really looking forward to joining you next time, and see you later.